सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अधरं मधुरं वदनं मधुरम्। Namaskaram and welcome to all to this session of the Bharatiya Darshana Shastravali series. All of you might have guessed from my line that today we are going to be speaking, or we are going to be listening to the Vallabhacharya Vedanta. That was a line from the Madhurashtakam composed by Vallabhacharya. So to take us through this session today, we have a young, brilliant scholar, Maitri Goswami. Maitri, welcome to the session. Maitri is the 17th direct descendant of Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya. She has learnt all traditional scriptures of the Pushti Marga from her father, Sri Sharad Goswami, and her revered guru, Goswami Sri Shyam Manoharji. She is a founder member of Sri Vallabhacharya Vidyapith, and in accordance with her duties towards the Sampradaya, she has been preaching the scriptures written by Mahaprabhu, Sri Vallabhacharya, and his Vedic philosophy. So I'm sure all of us are really excited and eagerly awaiting to listen from Maitri. So Maitri, over to you.
Namaskar. Today I am speaking about the Vallabh Vedant, the philosophy which is preached by Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya, the propagator of Pushti Bhakti Sampradaya. We have heard many speakers before me and have learned many other aspects of Vedantic philosophy, and I am with the perspective from Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya regarding the philosophy preached in Ved Gita, Bhagavat and Brahma Sutra. Let me start with the Mangalacharan. नमो भगवते तस्मै कृष्णाय अद्भुतकर्मणे रूपनाम विभेदेन जगत् क्रीडति यो यतः. The key points which we will be discussing in the today's session are: the first one will be introduction to the propagator of Vallabh Sampradaya, Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya. The second point which will be discussed is the Praman Vyavastha in Vallabhacharya Sampradaya, or epistemological perspective of Vallabh school of Vedant. The third one will be the metaphysical form of the three most discussed topic in philosophy: the universe, the individual being or Jivatma, and the third one will be the Brahma, the ultimate reality or creator. And the last point which we will be discussing is that according to the Vallabh school of Vedanta, the ultimate goal of all the Brahma Gyan or metaphysical understanding is the culmination of Gyan towards Krishna Bhakti. If our understanding doesn't culminate in Bhakti, then according to Vallabhacharya, whatever we have understood and whatever the Ved, Gita, Bhagavad, Brahma Sutra and all the Vedic scriptures altogether explain us gets useless. So the ultimate goal of all the understanding of the Brahmavad is supposed to be the culmination of Gyan towards Krishna Bhakti. So up to the first point. The first topic is the introduction to the propagator of Vallabh Sampradaya, Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya in his Subodhini, Bhagavat Subodhini, a text written by him, a commentary on Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran, he says that the purpose of his incarnation, that artham tasya vivechitum nahi vibhuhu vaishvanarat vakpatehe anyas tatra vidhaya manushatano mam vyasavat shripatihi दत्वाज्ञान चक्रपावलोकन पटुः यस्माद् अतोहम मुदा गूढ़ार्थम प्रकटी करोमि बहुधा व्यासस्य विष्णोः प्रियम. So in this, Vallabhacharya mentions that as Bhagwan incarnated through his Gyan attribute in the form of Veda Vyas to propagate and distribute the Ved, distribute the Purans, and therefore he is known as Vyas. But after he wrote up and completed the compilation of all the Ved and Puran, Bhagavan felt that there was no one to expand the meaning which Vyas explains. So he asked Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya, his devotee, to incarnate on this earth for all the Pushti Jeevs who are graced by Bhagavan for attaining him and his devotion. And therefore, Sri Vallabhacharya was born or incarnated in this universe. So the basic purpose was to explain the hidden meaning of Ved and Bhagavat and the propagation of Swatantra Bhakti of Parabrahma Shri Krishna, who is ultimate reality and superior most entity in this universe. We will have a short introduction of Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya. So Yajnanarayan Bhatt was his ancestor, and he was a follower of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, a Sampradaya who used to perform the Agama Tantrokta Puja of Sri Krishna. He was asked by Bhagavan to perform 100 Som Yagya in his family, and after the completion of 100 Som Yagya, he would incarnate in the family. So in the 7th generation of Yajnanarayan Bhatt, Sri Lakshman Bhattaji, he completed the 100 Som Yagya, and he and his wife once were traveling towards Varanasi, and when they had the news that Mughals, the Muslim invaders were attacking the Varanasi, they felt that it was not safe to travel there, and therefore they returned on the way towards their hometown, which was in Andhra Pradesh, Kakarwad. So on the way, on the day of Chaitra Ekadashi, Vikram Samvat 1535, in the forest near Champarandi on the bank of river Bhimarathi, the Vallabhacharya incarnated. But his mother felt that the child was not surviving, and he left him in the jungle under a tree, and they left for their hometown. And on the way at midnight, through the dream, Bhagavan ordered that I am born in your family and you have left me in the jungle, in the forest. So they returned back, and they found that Sri Vallabhacharya was in between a circle of fire, and they took him and named him Sri Vallabhacharya. So this was the story of his incarnation. At the age of 11 years, he completed his studies of all the Vedic scriptures and started the Bharat Brahman or Prithvi Parikrama, and he visited all the Vishnu Tirth throughout India, from Badrinath to south, and from east in the Dwarka, from Ganga Sagar to the west in the Dwarka. So during his first Bharat Brahman, he was visiting Jagannath Puri, and at that time there was a Shastrarth going on there where 4 questions were raised. The first one was that who is the superior most among all the Devatas? Who is the superior, which one is the superior Shastra? The third one was which is the best mantra, and the 4th question was that which will be the best duty which should be followed. So Vallabhacharya answered all these questions, but as the doubts were raised, he proposed that let us ask to Jagannath himself, and a pen and paper were left in the temple, and Bhagavan Jagannath wrote down the shlok for Sri Vallabhacharya on that. The shlok recites Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam, which means that the superior most Shastra is Bhagavad Gita, which is spoke by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, the superior most deity is Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Mantropyekaha Tasya Namani Yani, his name itself is the superior most mantra. And Karma Pyekam Tasya Devasya Seva, his seva, his service towards Shri Krishna is the best duty which is supposed to be followed by a devotee. So this was the answer he received from Jagannath, and on the basis of this mantra, he propagated all the theories of his sampradaya. The second incident happened on the Shravan Sud Ekadashi, on the midnight of Shravan Sud Ekadashi. He again had a revelation of Bhagavan in front of him, and he received the Diksha mantra, which in our sampradaya is known as Brahma Sambandha mantra. And after that, officially on the day of Shravan Sud Ekadashi, which will be followed after 5 days, he propagated Pushti Bhakti Sampradaya. Other than this, after propagating his sampradaya as a part of the propagation, he wrote down commentaries on Srimad Bhagavat, which was the main purpose of his incarnation, titled as Subodhini. and other independent scriptures for propagating Sampradayak Siddhant, which are Tattvarth Nibandh, Shodas Granth, etc. And he wrote a Bhashya on Brahma Sutra, which is known as Brahma Sutrano Bhashya, the Anubhashya. So the second topic which we are going to discuss is the epistemological aspect of Vallabh Sampradaya or Pramana Vyavastha. It means the tattva is known as Pramay, which is supposed to be known. And what are the bases for knowing the Pramay? It will be known as Pramana. So basically, Pratyaksh, Anuman, Shabda, these are the well-known pramans, but among them, for Alaukik Tattva, for Pramay, Vallabhacharya accepts the Shabda Praman, Alaukik Shabda Praman. And in that he says that Vedante cha smritau Brahmalingam Bhagavate tatha Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdate Tritaye Tritayam Vacham Kramenaiva Payatrahi. So there he explains that Ved, Shri Krishna Vakya Gita, Vyasa Sutra, which means the Brahma Sutra, and the Samadhi Bhasha of Vyas, the Bhagavat Mahapuran. These are the four texts or scriptures which are accepted as Pramana in Vallabh Sampradaya for denoting the Tattva or the Pramaya. But these are not prasthans, the four starting points of understanding the knowledge, but all these four texts merge together to form a complete Shastra, and they all together conclude in a singular Tattva, which is Krishna. So his four aspects which are discussed in these four scriptures are that the Veda denotes the Brahma, the Krishna Vakya Gita, they explain the form of Paramatma. So the first text is Ved. So Vallabhacharya explains that Veda, Gita, Bhagavat and Brahma Sutra, all these four texts explain the four aspects or perspectives of a singular entity, on the singular Tattva. The Veda explains the Brahma Paksha, the Brahma aspect. Krishna Vakya Gita, they explain the Paramatma Paksha. The third one, Vyasa Sutra, they are in the corollary with the Veda itself. And the fourth one, which is Bhagavat, which explains the Bhagavan Paksha and Krishna Paksha. So these are the four aspects of a singular tattva, a singular entity, which are explained all together in four of these shastra. And as Vallabhacharya explains that Uttarottar Purva Sandeha Varakam Parikiritam. It means each and every text, the doubts which we have in the Veda, they are solved by Gita. The doubts which we have in Gita are solved from Brahma Sutra, and the problems which we face in understanding the text of Brahma Sutra are solved from Bhagavad. So all together conclude the meaning and the completion of the Tattva. And whichever text, whichever scripture is which explains something which is contradictory to the meaning of all these four scriptures is not accepted as Pramana in Vallabh Sampradaya. So etad viruddham yat sarvam panchana, it won't be accepted. But Sri Vallabhacharya concludes that artho eva nitlaira veda vakyaihi bharata pancharatraihi. So he says that what is explained in Veda, Gita, Bhagavad and Brahma Sutra altogether is what is explained in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Pancharatra and each and every text of Vedic scriptures. So there is nothing in contradictory. But still, if in our understanding we have any problem, we face any problem, then for the prima facie, we are supposed to use Veda, Gita, Bhagavad and Brahma Sutra for understanding the Tattva. So Vallabhacharya explains that the ultimate reality or the Tattva has four dimensions. So the first dimension will be the Brahma dimension, which deals with all in all the absolute dimension. The second one, Paramatma, is explained in Bhagavad Gita, is the relative dimension. The third one is the Bhagavan dimension, which is explained in Bhagavad. It is a dependent dimension. It means among all the individual beings, if someone is appreciating the form of Bhagavan and is accepting the total surrenderance, devotion or samarpan in his form, then only the absolute reality will reveal yourself in front of you as Bhagavan. And the fourth one will be the Krishna. He is all for one. It can just be approached by the bhakti dimension. So in order to explain and understand the Tattva, Sri Vallabhacharya explains that if you are referring to any one of these Shastra, it means, for example, if I am not going to Gita, Bhagavad or Brahma Sutra and just referring the Ved, then the Tattva won't be revealing you in front of, it won't be revealing itself in front of you completely. So the understanding will remain incomplete, and therefore in Vallabh Sampradaya it is expected that all the four dimensions of the ultimate reality should be understood using all four Shastra, Ved, Gita, Bhagavad and Brahma Sutra incorporated. So this was the epistemological perspective, how to derive the tattva out of the scriptures. The next topic is the metaphysical form of Brahma, Jagat and Jiv. These are the main aspects of philosophy which are to be discussed. So the first perspective is Brahma. It is Satchidanand. He has the three attributes of Sat, Chet and Anand. The Sat attribute means to exist. The Chet attribute means to be aware about the existence or our consciousness. And the third one is Anand, bliss, unlimitedness. So the third attribute is of Anand, bliss or the unlimitedness of Brahma. The Daishikayik and Swarup Parichin Brahma. It means he doesn't have the boundaries of any desh, a place. He doesn't have boundaries of kal or time and not even the Swarup. So he is present in each and every place, in all the time and in each and every visible or invisible forms. So this is the metaphysical form of Brahma. The divine attributes of Brahma are accepted Sakarta. It means he can accept the forms when he incarnates in this universe with his own wish. So he is Sakar and Nikar as well. Both are the two facets of his own entity. Avyaya, it means there can be no Vikar in the form of Brahma. The third one is Sarva Samat. He has Kartum, Akartum and Anyatha Kartum Samarthya. It means he can do everything. If he doesn't want to do anything, he can stop that activity and he can do that with any other way, any other possible way also. The fourth one is the Swatantra. Brahma is independent as he has all the superior powers. He is Sarveshwar, Sarvagya. He is Nirgun. He doesn't have any Prakrit, Gunadharma, Prakrit attributes which are moderated out of Prakriti. Sarvadhar, he is the place or he is the base for each and every existence. Sarva Vilakshan, Abhinna Nimitto Padan. It means he is the essential cause, he is the efficient cause and material cause for whatever is being and whatever is present. Viruddharmacharya, he is infinity and incorporate all the contradictory Gunadharma and attribute in him. Tarka Gochar, we cannot understand him through our logic or with any other praman. He can only be understood with Alaukik Shabda Rashi, Alaukik Shabda Praman. Adrashya, we cannot see him with our own methods. He can be visible to us with his own wish. Swechchaya Drashya, Saman, he is equal to all because he is the absolute entity. Karma Phal Data, he provides the result of whatever we do. Sajatiya, Vijatiya and Swagata Bhed Rahit. So the Sajatiya Bhed means that an individual being and the other individual being, they are Sajatiya, but Brahma has, because he is present in all the form and therefore everything is Sajatiya to him. Vijatiya, it means Jad and Jeev, they are the two entities, but even they merge in the form of Brahma and he doesn't even have the Swagata Ved. So the next topic is purpose behind creation of the universe. So Upanishad explains Ekaki Naiva Reme Sadvitiyam Achyat Evam Bhavusya Prajayaya. So he manifested himself, his own attributes in the form of universe. So all the sentient and insentient beings are created or are manifested out of his own attributes, Sat and Chit, as part of the revelation of his infinity. So it is said as a Leelartha Srishtivad. It means universe is not a mere creation of Brahma, but his Leela, means proclamation or revelation of his infinity and eternal bliss. So when Brahma wants to enjoy his infinity, he creates everything out of him. And when he wants to stop everything, he conceals everything in his infinite form. So revelation and concealation just goes on behind the universe. And this is how the universe is created. And this is the purpose of the destruction. The process is explained here. We are not going in much detail, but Akshar Brahma is the form which is explained by Brahma for creating the universe, and out of him karma, swabhav, kal, prakriti and purush. These are the five materials which are created. All the jad padarth are created out of prakriti, and all the beings, the individual beings or jivatma, are created out of purush. So this is how the manifestation occurs. So the metaphysical form of universe or Jagat, the first proclamation of the Upanishad is that universe is created out of Brahma. It sustains in the form of Brahma. It is destroyed by Brahma, and later on it merges in the Brahma. Therefore, there is no other entity in this universe other than the ultimate reality, Brahman. So the Upanishad says, "Yatova imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti, tad vijigyasasva, tad Brahma." So that's what the ultimate form of Brahma is. The second one is Viruddha Dharmashrayatavad. It means the infinity of Brahma comprises of all the contradictory attributes. So we don't need any other element to create anything in this universe. So he will be creating everything out of his own infinity. Abhinna nimittopadana karanatavad. It means there are two type of cause, nimitta karan and upadan karan. Nimitta karan will mean the efficient cause, and the upadan karan will mean the material cause. So in the worldly objects, we find that efficient cause and the material cause are different. It means clay is the material cause for the pot, and the potter, the wheel he uses, the stick he uses, all are known as the nimitta karan or efficient causes. But in the worldly object, as we find that nimitta karan and upadan karan are different, but in the causation theory of the universe, we have both as Brahma himself. He himself is the upadan karan, he himself manifests his attributes as the material, and he himself is the efficient cause or the creator. Avikrita Parinamvad. So it explains that Brahma is verily both the instrumental cause and the material cause of the universe. No other reality except Brahma plays the role in the creation of this universe, and therefore Brahma, as he creates the universe and individual beings out of his own attributes, as the gold, as we create the ornaments out of the gold. So as ornaments don't have any vikar during the creation, same way, the universe even is not a Vikrat Parinam as accepted in the Sankhya, but is the Avikrat Parinam as explained in the Upanishad. So for that, Upanishad says, Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadeyam Mritika Ityeva Satyam. So all the forms, the different forms which are created out of the clay, they are just for the sake of the name or just for the sake of the form we have given it. Otherwise, the material ultimately is the clay itself. Same way, Brahma is the material cause of all the name, forms, and functions we find in this universe. The next is Satkaranatavad and Satkaryavad. It means universe is the manifestation of Sat attribute of Brahma, and therefore is the real manifestation, the outcome of Brahma, and it is not an illusion. So ultimately, alike Brahma, universe is also an absolute reality and is existent. It means it is not in any other form, but it is Sat Padarth. Next. Avirbhav, Tirobhav is the heart of Vallabh Sampradaya. So in the universe, we find that some materials are destroyed, some are created. So seeing them, we feel that it is not Sat. So because the Sat means the Trikalik Nishedh Rahit Padarth. But Vallabhacharya explains that as Bhagavan has manifested his own attributes in the form of universe, so nothing can be destroyed and nothing can be created. It can just be revealed and concealed with the independent wish of Bhagavan. So there is no abhav as accepted in the Nyaya school, but it is Tirobhav and Avirbhav. So not Utpatti and Nash, but Avirbhav and Tirobhav, the revelation and concealment. And in the Vedic term, we would say it is Vyakaran and Avyakrit Brahma. So the Shuddhatvait Brahmavad or Tadatmyavad is the name given to the philosophy of Sri Vallabhacharya, and it explains that Trayam va idam namarupa karma Brahma etadhi sarvani namani vibharti Brahma etadhi sarvani rupani vibharti Brahma etadhi sarvani karmani vibharti tad etatrayam sat ekamayam atma atmo ekah san etatrayam. It means Brahma himself manifests in the form of Nama, Rupa and Karma, and therefore universe is Brahmatmak. It has the crust of Brahma inside it and nothing else as a material. So this is what in Gita Bhagavan explains in the Urdu Mula Madhar Shakha Ashwatham Prahuravyam Chandansi Yasya Paranani Yastam Veda Savedavit in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So this is what the philosophical format of universe as accepted in Vallabh Sampradaya. It means Krishna, the Parabrahma, is the root of all the creation, and whatever is being created is like the leaves and barks of a tree. So we have completed the form, metaphysical form of Jagat. The second one is Jeev or individual being. So the process of creation of the individual being is expressed here. So the Krishna himself manifests in the form of Akshar Brahma. After that, Akshar Brahma, he, like the fire and the sparks of the fire, all the Jivatma, the Chidansh of Brahman are created out of Akshar Brahma. Further, they are divided or chosen by Brahma in two parts, Daivi and Asuri, as explained in Bhagavad Gita. Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya Nibandhaya Asuri Mata in the 16th chapter of Gita. So like that, Daivi and Asuri, these are the two sectors in which all the individual beings are divided. Daivi Jeev are meant for attaining salvation, and Asuri Jeev are meant for remaining in this universe forever. And further, Daivi Jeev are divided into two parts, Pushti and Maryada, on the basis of the result they attain, and the Asuri Jeev are known as Pravahi Jeev. So Pushti Jeev will be attaining Parabrahma Shri Krishna as a part of their destiny. The Maryada Jeev, they will be attaining the result which are explained in the Ved if they are fulfilling the methods of attaining salvation. And Pravahi or Asuri Jeev, they will be living in this universe till the Pralay, till the Antim Pralay. So this is the complete process of creation. The Jivatma are the outcome of Purush, the Samashti Purush. And Satchidanand Parabrahma Purna Purushottam Sakar, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, he is the ultimate reality with all the facets of being Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and ultimately Shri Krishna. Anshanshi Tadatmyavad is the explanation of relation between the individual being or Jivatma and the Brahma. So it explains that the individual beings or Jivatma are emerged out of Sat and Chit attribute of Brahma, as they are existent and they have the aspect of consciousness in them. So narrating the process of this emergence, the Upanishad explains that when Bhagavan wants to manifold his form in the infinite forms, he obtains the Chit attribute in himself, as Anando Brahmeti Vijanat is the absolute definition of Brahman. So he have the format of Sat, Chit and Anand in him, which is known as Satchidananda Brahma. And out of the Chit attribute, innumerable particles of insentient beings and sentient beings have emerged. So all the countless sparks that emanate from the fire, they are known as the individual beings or Jivatma. And therefore, Brahma and Jivatma are not one. Jivatma is the amsha of Brahma, like a drop of an ocean, and Brahma is the anshi, he is like the ocean. Yeah, so this completely explains the relation between Jivatma and Brahma. So Jivatma is not Vyapak, but he is the Ansh of Brahma. Brahma conceals the attribute of Anand from the Jeev, and therefore Jeev is Parichinna and not Aparichinna. Bhagavan chooses the individual beings, and this is how their life journey goes on according to the destiny which was decided by Brahma during the creation. So this was the metaphysical format of Brahma, Jeev, and Jagat, which is accepted in Vallabh Vedanta. Now, as I said, that Vallabhacharya proclaims that only if the Brahmavad culminates in bhakti, it is useful. Otherwise, the ultimate goal of expression of the Brahma, the revelation of the Brahma, which is done by Ved, Gita, Bhagavad, and Brahma Sutra, gets useless. So as Bhagavad says, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, he is the one who is the ultimate reality. So Vallabhacharya has explained the devotional path of Pushti Bhakti, the divine path of grace, after having the Brahma Gyan. So as in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan explains that Naham Vedair na tapasa na danena na cha ijjaya shakya evam vido drashtum drashtavanasi mamyatha bhaktya tvananyaya shakya aham evam vidorjuna gyatum drashtum cha tattvena praveshtum cha parantapa. So Gita is accepted as the second Praman, which explains that Sarvopanishado Gavo Dota Gopalanandana. So all the Upanishads have the crust of Ved, and the crust of Upanishad is explained in Bhagavad Gita by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So whatever is proclaimed in Krishna is what the meaning of Ved is. So Vallabhacharya says that Krishna Vakyanusarena Shastrarthoye Vadanti Tehi Bhagavata Prokta Shuddhaste Brahmavadina. So one who are concluding the Tattva out of Gita, which is explained in Upanishad, only those can be considered as Brahmavadi, Jnani, Karmamargi or Bhakti Margi. So whatever is explained in Gita is the ultimate conclusion. So as in Gita, Bhagavan explains that he cannot be achieved in his eternal form by the study of Ved, nor by severe penance, not even by charity dan, not even by grand rituals and ceremony. It is not possible to see him with any other mode of sadhana, but only by the devotional service, which is done without expecting anything as the result of the devotion. So Nishkam, Nirgun or Nirupadik Bhakti is the crust of Bhagavad Gita, as even in the conclusion part of Gita, Bhagavan says Arjun that Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So Sharanagati Samarpan, the total surrenderance towards Shri Krishna, is the ultimate goal of explaining everything which is explained in Veda Gita and Bhagavat and Brahma Sutra. So this is the path which is chosen by Sri Vallabhacharya, but he doesn't even negates the other path for attaining salvation. So the ultimate goal of understanding the Brahmavad is Krishna Bhakti. So in Tattvartha-deep Nibandha, Vallabhacharya explains that Jnana Nishtha Tada Geya Sarvagyo hi Yada Bhavet, Karma Nishtha Tada Geya Yada Chittam Prasidati, Bhakti Nishtha Tada Geya Yada Krishna Prasidati. So how to conclude the Karma Marga, Gyan Marga and Bhakti Marga which are explained in the scriptures. So he says that your understanding is absolute only if you become Sarvagya. Karmanishtha is fine only if you attain the Chitta Shuddhi, and Bhakti Nishtha is concluded only when the Krishna is satisfied with your devotion. So Shastram Avagatya Manovat Dehai Krishna Sevya, this is what the ultimate crust of all the Brahmavadi understanding. So he says that Mahatma Gyan Purvastu Sudradah Sarvatodika Sneho Bhaktiriti Proktah Taya Muktirna Chanyatha. It means we are understanding Brahmavad, the format of Jagat, our own individual being, and the Brahman for attaining the divine devotion of Bhagavan, which is attained by his grace. And that's the way by which we can attain the Paramatma, Parabrahma, Shri Krishna. So this is the revelation of Navda Bhakti. It means we have to attach ourselves with Krishna. We have to identify ourselves as the Ansh of Parabrahma Shri Krishna. He Anshi, by understanding that tadatmya between him and us, we have to be in his devotion, in his surrenderance. So Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran, Padasevan, Archan, Vandan, Dasya, Sakhya and Atma Nivedan, these are the 9 modes of bhakti which are explained in Bhagavat, and they are accepted as sadhana in Vallabh Sampradaya after understanding the metaphysical form of Parabrahma Shri Krishna. So Krishna eva tatparyam atastu brahmavadena Krishna buddhirvediyatam. It means after understanding the Brahmavad, we are supposed to conclude the Brahmavad in Krishna. So the sadhana charan which is explained is that we have to be in the surrenderance of Shri Krishna. We have to accept Krishna as the ultimate surrenderance. We have to be one with him. We have to live a life which will be sharing Shri Krishna in us. And this is the ultimate duty which is to be followed, as explained by Jagannath, that the ultimate duty of a Jeev is to perform the seva, the devotion of Shri Krishna, the divine service towards him. So this is the graphical illustration of Bhakti Margi devotion. The middle part explains the Chetasta Pramanata. It means to have oneness with Brahma. It can be achieved when we use our own body in the seva of Shri Krishna, when we have Shri Krishna at our own house as our own Swasevya, and like Ramanuja Sampradaya, as they say it is Archavatar, we say that the Krishna we have in our house with the grace of Vallabhacharya is Swasevya. It is an individual incarnation of Parabrahma Shri Krishna in our house for our own self. Swavit, it means we have to use all the belongings, whatever we have in the service of Shri Krishna, and everything is supposed to be done in our own house with feeling the oneness with Shri Krishna and considering ourselves as his mere devotee. So Sri Vallabhacharya explained that Tasmat Sri Krishna Margastho Vimuktah Sarvalokatah Atmananda Samudrastham Krishnameva Vichintayet. Our Atma, our soul, as it is the Ansh of Brahma and it is the unlimited ocean of bliss and the grace of Parabrahma Shri Krishna, which is expressed in the form of devotion. So devotion is nothing else than expression of our feelings towards the Shri Krishna. It must not be mechanical. It is not supposed to be a mechanical process, but it is supposed to be the expression of our own feelings, our own devotion towards Shri Krishna. So the person who is in the Krishna Marg, who is in the path of devotion, he will be free from all the bondages of this universe after understanding his divine form, his individual form, and he will be in the ocean, the infinite ocean of devotion of Parabrahma Shri Krishna, where Krishna himself will be taking us out of this samsara sagar. So the conclusion, here I am towards the conclusion of whatever I had to speak, that Krishna is the ultimate and superior reality in this universe, which can be concluded from Ved, Gita, Bhagavat and Brahma Sutra as explained there. He manifests itself and his own attributes in all the visible and invisible, revealed or concealed name, form and functions which we find in this universe around us. The superior most method of approaching him is the path of devotion, which can be followed and observed only through the grace of Bhagwan and not by our own independent efforts. And the ultimate goal of each and every Vedic Shastra is to proclaim the glory of Parabrahma Bhagavan Shri Krishna. I am done with whatever I had to say. And I am very grateful to all my gurus who have explained me this, to Shri Krishna, who is inspiring my brain, who has graced me with his devotion, and Mahaprabhu Shri Vallabhacharya, who has propagated the Bhakti Sampradaya. And I bow down to everyone and thank you for giving me the chance.
Namaste, Maitri. I think a very interesting lecture. And for most of us who have probably heard the stotrams and other aspects of Vallabhacharya, to know about the Shuddha Dvaita Vedanta was indeed very revealing. So, of course, as you would expect, there are many questions on this. The first aspect is, Maitri, we call this Shuddha Advaita. Of course, you mentioned about the Tadatmyavada, that is what Vallabhacharya says, but it's also referred to as Shuddha Advaita. So does it mean, so the term Advaita comes there. So there are multiple questions related to this. First is the Advaita comes. So does it mean that the Jiva can become Krishna at any point of time?
It does mean so. The word Tadatmyavad means Bhed Sahishnu Abhed. It means Aichik Advaita and Swabhavik Advaita. So with Brahma, we have Swabhavik Advaita because he and his attributes manifest in the form of all the Jad and Jeev, but he creates the Aichik Advaita for enjoying his own Leela, for becoming a spectator of whatever is being going on. So we cannot become Krishna, but we can become one with Krishna. Sayujya can be attained, but Brahma and Jeev are not equivalent. The equal to mark cannot be given between them.
And here when you say we can become one with Krishna, at that state, in the state of that mukti, that Sayujya mukti, does the Bhakta Bhagavan difference still remain? Or is it like the Bhakta gets realized as Krishna himself?
He doesn't realize Krishna as himself, but he has to keep the difference between him and Krishna. Because in devotion, we have the relation of Swami and Sevak. We don't have the relation of Ansh and Anshi. As the Brahma perspective, if we touch that perspective, we will be having Ansh and Anshi relation. But in the accordance with the Krishna perspective of that ultimate reality, the devotee is supposed to have the feeling of being a slave and Krishna as his master. So he would expect to keep a difference between him and Krishna always. But a sort of mukti which can be attained is of having oneness with Brahma, with Krishna, in which the devotee will be merged in the Chit attribute of Parabrahma Shri Krishna. He won't remain as a distinct individual anymore. But we have three types of mukti in our sampradaya. The first one is Alaukika Samarthya, in which you will be graced with a new body in the Vaikuntha Dham of Parabrahma Shri Krishna, where you will be serving him even there as you are doing here. And the second one will be the Sayujya Mukti, in which the individual being will be merged in the Chit attribute of Brahma. We have both the scopes.
Okay, okay. And any reason why it is called as Shuddha Advaita?
Yeah, the Shuddha term means Maya Sansarga Rahita Brahma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. The another aspect, Maitri, and maybe if you can still show that one slide, which is where you describe about Krishna as a Brahma and the other Devatas and the other forms of creation, because there are many questions.
Yeah.
Is Krishna different from Vishnu? How is the placement of Shiva in the scheme of things? So maybe with that one slide, if you could just explain again how that entire creation comes through. Yeah.
Sure. So we explained that Vallabhacharya explains that Parabrahma Shri Krishna has two facets. The first one will be Brahmanda Murti, Samashti Antaryami, Virat, Paramatma, Sakalavataravatari, and Narayan. Which is the form through which he accepts all the incarnation and manifestation in this universe. And the second one is Akshar Brahma, through which he creates the Jad Jagat and Jivatma. So let it be there. We will be in the first part. So from Narayan, he divides his form into two parts, Gunavatar and Leelavatar. In Gunavatar, we have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiv. So Brahma is the manifestation of Rajogun of Brahma, Aprakrit Rajogun, not the Prakrit one. Vishnu is the manifestation of Sattvic Gun, Sattvic Aprakrit Gun, and the Shiv is the manifestation of Tamas Aprakrit Gun of Parabrahma Shri Krishna. And the other part is Leelavatar, through which he has 24 incarnations. So for us, in the Sampradayik propagation, we have Krishna as Avatari Purush and Avatar, both together. It means he is the Avatari, but all the incarnations are not with all his Shakti. So as Vyas is the incarnation of his Jnana Gun, same way some are the incarnations of his Virya, as Parashuram is accepted, Sri Ram as the incarnation of his Maryada Gun. So all the other incarnations are with one or two attributes of Parabrahma Shri Krishna. But Shri Krishna in the Saraswata Kalpa is the complete avatar of the Avatari himself. So Krishna is not merely avatar, but he is Avatari and Avatar both together. And he is manifested out of Vishnu because he is the Sattva-dhisthata Dev, the Gunavatar of Brahma.
And also here, Maitri, even the Rama Avatara would be considered as one of the Leela Avataras, is it?
Yes, yes. All the 24 avatars which are mentioned in Bhagavad are accepted as a Leela Avatar.
Okay. 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 The other aspect that I wanted to mention here, I think especially the point that you mentioned about the Karma Nishtha, the Jnana Nishtha and Bhakti Nishtha.
Yeah.
I think it resonates very beautifully because even in Shankara Vedanta, you speak about karma for Chitta Shuddhi.
Yeah.
Objective of karma being Chitta Shuddhi, and that is again beautifully brought about by Vallabhacharya. Again, being karma.
But let me just clarify that Vallabhacharya explains that the result of karma is not only Chitta Shuddhi, but Yagya Purush Bhagavan can be attained through the method of karma only if it is done with Brahma Gyan.
Oh, okay.
If a Brahmagyani performs the karma, he can attain the Yagya Purush, as explained in Gita, Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam, in that nature. But if he is not having Brahmagyan and merely doing Nishkam karma, then he would be attaining the result of Chitta Shuddhi.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And here, one other aspect. So when it considers Sri Krishna as the ultimate, for the layman or for the commoners, Krishna is one, as you said, the Avatari Purush and the Avatara, right?
Yeah.
The two aspects. So most of the people know only as the Avatara or as one of the Leela Avataras.
Yes.
So does Vallabhacharya at any point of time try to bridge this gap between this Krishna and the Avatari Purush Krishna or the source Krishna? Does he?
Yes. And the major juncture for explaining this is Gita and Bhagavad. As in Gita, Bhagavan explains that Ksharakshara Matitoham Aksharadapi Chottama Atosmi Loke Vedecha Prathita Purushottama. So this is where he is proclaiming himself as the Parabrahma, who is Uttam than Akshar Brahma itself. So through this point, we cannot say that Krishna is only the avatar, as he is Uttam than Akshar Brahma, so he has to be the Parabrahma, Avatari Purusha also.
Oh, okay. Probably, Maitri, I would also like you to touch upon or speak on the fact that how Vallabhacharya also popularized the Bhagavata Purana. I think it was during his time that the reading of the Bhagavata Purana became more popular or widespread in the country.
Yeah. So Vallabhacharya says that in the Kali Yuga where we are living, it is the period where all the Vedic methods are not applicable in its complete form, and they cannot be implied through our own methods, because Deshakala, Dravya Karta, Mantra and Karma, these are the six anga of dharma. And as all these six anga are not surviving in their fullest form, in their complete form, so even if I try, I cannot follow the Vedic dharma in its ideal format. So Shrivalacharya explains that Swatantra Bhakti Marg or Bhagavat Dharma, as explained in Gita and Bhagavat, is the only option which is remaining with us. As in Gita, Bhagavan says that Vedic Dharma are not able to purify a person who is Asadachari, but the Bhagavat Dharma or the Bhakti, it has the capacity to make you one with the ultimate reality through the method of devotion. As in Gita, Bhagavan explains that the Mlech and Stri and Shudra, everyone have the eligibility towards devotion. So Ved doesn't provide that provision, but Bhakti does provide that provision. So Vallabhacharya said that as in Kali Yuga, we don't have any other method, or the other methods for attaining results, the salvation or liberation, are not surviving in their complete form, and therefore it is preferable to use the Bhagavat Dharma for your completion, for your salvation. And therefore he propagated his sampradaya on the basis of Bhagavat, Swatantra Bhakti Marg.
And also there is a very strong interlinkage or relation between Vallabhacharya and the Srinatha Sampradaya, the Srinathji Sampradaya, right?
Yeah.
Nathadwara.
Yeah.
One other aspect, Maitri, that has come as a question is this Brahmarpanam that you mentioned, the Shlokam. They have asked, could you explain that Shlokam as based on Vallabhacharya Siddhanta, or what he has explained about Brahmarpanam?
Yes. So Vallabhacharya says that Yagya Rupo Harihi Purva Kande Brahma Tanuhu Pare or Avatari Hari Shri Krishna Shri Bhagavatam Iryate. This is what he explains, that in Ved we have Purva Kand and Uttar Kand. The Purva Kand is focused on the karma, on the Yagya, the Yagyatmak karma. The Uttar Kand is focused on the Gyan part, and Shri Bhagavat focuses on the Avatari Hari Krishna, the Bhakti part, the devotional perspective. So the Purva Kand of Ved, as in Gita, Bhagavan says that Vedaischa Sarvai Rahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krat Veda Videva Chaham. It means he is the one who is explained in the Ved, he is the one who is the creator of the Vedanta, and he is the only one who understands the Vedanta completely. And therefore, we conclude that whatever is explained in the Ved, each and every letter of the Ved explains the form of Brahma himself. And therefore, the Purva Kand also denotes the form of Brahma, but the format is Yagya Roop. In the Yagyatmak Roop, the Parabrahma Shri Krishna itself manifests. And the person who is performing the Yagya with the feeling of surrendering each and every Yagya and the Yagya Karma Phal towards the Brahma, he will be attaining the result. And therefore, Gita explains that Brahmarpanam, it means whenever you are doing the Yagya and you are giving any sacrifice in the fire of the Yagya, it is Brahmarpan. The Agni itself is the Brahma, the material you are sacrificing itself is the Brahma, and the Karta, it means if I am performing the ritual, then in myself also I am the individual being and therefore a particle of Brahma. So if you understand the process, everything is Brahma himself and nothing else. And therefore, if you are taking up the Yagya Karma as the process of attaining the Yagya Roop of Bhagavan, if you have such understanding and feeling, then you can attain through that. But if we don't have such understanding and merely we are doing the Nishkam Karma, it doesn't provide that result.
And this also relates to your point where you said that in this sampradaya, the nimitta and upadana karana are abhinna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why everything is Brahma.
Yes.
There's one other important question that's come up, and this is also when you relate to especially the Ramanuja Sampradaya, the position of Shri.
Yes.
And in the Sampradaya, maybe Radharani, or how you consider it. What is the position of Shri in the Vallabha Sampradaya?
Shri is the Shakti, and the Shaktiman is Parabrahma. So as we have the Tadatmya Sambandh with the universe and individual being, same way we have Tadatmya Sambandh of Shakti and Shaktiman. But the Shakti cannot be approached leaving the Shaktiman at side. So we have to approach Shaktiman as in Sarva Nirana Prakarana, a part of Tattvartha Deep Niban. Sri Vallabhacharya says that if a devotee is performing independent puja of Lakshmi, then he will be attaining Rama Vaikuntha. And if he is doing of Lakshmi and Narayan both together, he will be attaining the salvation. So that's how it is.
Interesting, very interesting.
Radha is explained as the Shakti of Krishna, Abhinna Shakti. Same the Tadatmya Sambandh among them. We cannot differentiate.
Right, right. I think very interesting thing, Maitri, and extremely thankful. I would now request Maholikar ma'am if she could speak a few words.
Thank you, Maitri. It was a brilliant exposition, very much clarity in whatever you spoke. And I'm fondly remembering Shyamji Goswami, who had gifted Bhagavata Subodhini to the Sanskrit department of Mumbai University. So I had little connection through one of my students, Mr. Dholakia, Dr. Dholakia, I should say. So Shyamji, I knew. So I'm very glad to have you here on this platform. Somebody asked the question of Shuddha Advaita, so I will try to explain that. I mean, she did explain, but it is Maya Shabalitam Brahma that is in Kevala Advaita. So Maya Virahitam Brahma, that is Shuddha. Maya makes Shabala. Maya is, brings some, it taints the Advaita. So without that, it is Shuddha Advaita. That is one interpretation. Another interpretation lies in the fact which Maitri rightly explained, as the relation in the Karya Karana, Satkarana and Satkaryavada, she explained that Suvarna and Suvarna Alankara, or she explained in the Vikrita Parinamavada and Avikrita Parinamavada. Yatha Dugdham Dadibhavena Parinamate, that is Vikrita Parinama. The Dadhi, the curd, can't be brought back to the Dugdham, that position. That is Vikrita, that is the Sankhyas Parinama Vada. But this Vallabhacharya Sampradaya, it believes in the Avikrita Parinama Vada. As for example, the Suvarna and the Suvarna Alankara. Or as for example, fire and the sparks of the fire. Even a spark has the same potency, same capacity to burn as the fire has. But it is just a tiny molecule, right, of the fire. So Jiva is like that. But as Parabrahma, Krishna is Chidrupa, the Jiva is also Chidrupa. Both are Shuddha. So Shuddha Yoho, Jiva Ishvara Yoho Advaitam, iti Shuddha Advaitam. That could be another very novel interpretation of Shuddha Advaita. I think, and ultimately I would say, as Yatha Dugdham Ekavaranam Bhinna Varananam Dhenunam, something that Subhashita is, Tathaiva, there are Tathaiva Dharma Vaichitriam, but Ekam Tattvam Sadasti. There is one principle, but there is Vaichitria in the approaches to that destination, to that goal. And what we are discussing, I think, especially the four acharyas, 4 different paths, they are different paths, but the goal is ultimately the same. You call it Nirguna Nirakara or Saguna Sakara, ultimately one has to reach there. Thank you, Maitri, for a wonderful exposition.
Thank you very much for the chance.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।